Good evening, councillors, administration, ladies and gentlemen. We'll declare the ordinary council meeting for the 22nd of July 2025 open. I'll just open with a prayer and acknowledgement. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the peace and beauty of this area. Direct and prosper the deliberations of this council for the advancement of the city and the welfare of its people. Amen. We would like to acknowledge the Noongar people who are the traditional custodians of the land, and we'd also like to pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. Record of apologies and leave of absence, Mr CEO.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The apologies for tonight are recorded there, with apology recorded for Councillor Leonetti. Thank you.
Disclosures of interest?
No disclosures. Thank you, Mr Mayor, at this point in time. However, we'll just confirm if there is anyone wanting to make a disclosure of interest for tonight's meeting. Is there anyone that would like to do so? No disclosures. No. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Reports of members. Councillor McLaren.
Just give a brief report, if I may, tonight. It's been a very, very busy month, and I think I want to acknowledge some of the events that the community have put on that have been fabulous events. But of course, anyone speaking the first time tonight has to congratulate the mayor on finally getting his long dream of the surf reef up and going. So that was by far the biggest highlight of this month. So congratulations, Mayor, and to all the councillors and all the community that worked for so long to make that happen. It was a really delightful opportunity for me to go out in nature and enjoy it and share that with everybody else. So well done, Mayor. But it was also a big month for the arts and performance community. We had the Folk and Shanty Fest, and if you went out on Friday night, I was on the town hall. I volunteered to do ticketing at the town hall for the musical Mutiny. It kept us all busy all weekend. It was a fabulous success, and I'm sure that as the figures come in, we'll see the boost it was to our local economy, which is why we, of course, support it. It was fantastic. Thank you to everyone who participated in volunteer capacity. However, I also really enjoyed the Aliwa Bardinar, and that was a children's show that Gina Williams and Guy, her brother Guy, put on at the entertainment center. And for everyone that had an opportunity to go to that and learn some Aboriginal language and also see the delightful costumes and the performances, it was fantastic. As was the Southern Edge Arts put on their showcase event, and I'm hoping maybe Councillor Beju would share a little bit more about that. I know she went as well. It's the first time I've been, and I was so delighted by all the children in their performances and the costumes. It was just a delight. So proud to be in part of this community. I also became a right whale tracker this month, which is a group of people who are citizen scientists. And I encourage everybody to get trained up in how you can record the right whales that are coming off our coast. It's a very important task to be able to track the biodiversity and the impact of our activities on this species. And Laura Bird from South Coast NRM will train you up, and then you can participate in that, Mayor, if you're interested. And on a bigger picture, the network of the UN. Let me get this right. This is the first time I've been able to get to this meeting. But the Regional Center of Expertise on Education for Sustainable Development met at the UWA campus. And we talked about how the UN goals, to which our council is a signatory, are being tracked and implemented in the various projects. And we're all very familiar with the Wave Energy Project, and that was describe to us how that project meets the sustainability goals. So we're going to be learning more about that, and there'll be a survey because they're reassessing their purpose, so everyone can have an opportunity to impact the direction of that group of people. So those were the highlights, Mayor, and I want to just remind everybody to get out there and volunteer. Perhaps I should mention the women's care kits, which were collected by Seroptimus International, and they will go to women who are seeking refuge if victims of family and domestic violence. And thanks to the generosity of the community, 200 care kits were collected and distributed to the Women's Health Center.
Councillor Cruz.
No, thank you, Mayor.
Deputy Mayor Terry.
Thank you, Mayor. It's been a relatively short week, only 3 weeks between council meetings, so hasn't, unlike Councillor McLaren, I haven't really had a lot on this week, but I this month, but I did want to mention the Maritime Festival and all the work that went on behind the scenes to get that organised on behalf of the community by our very good events team. So Nathan, just if you can pass on congratulations. And I opened the All at Sea Saturday Festival on the Saturday of the first weekend of the school holidays, and managed to get out on one of the skiffs that the Maritime Foundation group built that I talked about last month. So I had a bit of a row on those in the marina. Councillor McLaren's also talked about the Shanty Festival. Congratulations once again to the organisers of that event. I hear it went off really, really well, and Councillor McLaren talked about the event on the Friday night at the Town Hall. But there was lots of shanties and folk music going on around town, especially at the Earl was pumping as well, I hear. And on the Sunday there was the tug of war down at the boat shed, and happy to report that the South Coast and Calgon Volunteer Bushfire Brigade team won the tug of war, which was great to see. Also last week we had the Surf Reef opening. Unfortunately, I couldn't get down there. I had an ill child at home. But congratulations to everyone that's been involved with that project. And once again, especially the Mayor with his advocacy, Peter Bolt, and the three gentlemen that he talked about as well, Kingy, Greavesy, and who was the other person? I can't remember the third person. But the advocacy over 30 plus years to get that project up, and the way it was working on last Wednesday as well. It was great to see Jodie Cooper, and she would have been had some great media about that that would have been gone around the country and hopefully around the world. I know there has been quite a lot of talk around the country about the reef, and I think I saw a post from Rita Safiotti actually earlier today, talking about the reef, and a lot of people wanting a surf reef up on the west coast. So Albany's leading the charge on surf reefs. So thank you.
Thank you. Councillor McKinley.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Yeah, this past few weeks, the highlight was probably I attended the Country Week schools up in Perth. That was held at the UWA Ovals in Wembley. Most of the schools in Albany sent their some representatives from all sports. My focus was as a spectator, and my son was playing in the football for North Albany Senior High School, and the standard of the football was very high, and it was great to see all the kids playing all different sports. There was hockey, there was netball, there was basketball, touch football. It was great to see all the kids involved in sport and having a great time. They also spent the week exploring the Perth area. They went to the movies, went bowling. So for all the kids involved who went up, they would have had a great time. I know my son came home exhausted. In regards to the football, North Albany Senior High School played in the A grade, and they came fourth. And as I said, the standard of football was very high, and there was some quality football being played. So that's all I've got to say regarding that. And also regarding the surf reef, again, that was great to see that opening up, and the Mayor for driving that project. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it either. I had work commitments. But for everyone involved with that, congratulations, and we look forward to seeing that progress in the years to come and benefit the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Buff.
No, thanks, Matt.
Councillor Grimmer.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Look, first of all, I would like to pay my respects to a young community member that we lost, unfortunately, from young siding, Kaylee Mansell. just looking at those waves and how amazing they were, it was a really incredible opening. I mean, we had at least 200 people there, I reckon, and it was a really happy occasion. And as you say, when you've looked to do something for 30 odd years, it's a real celebration. I do congratulate the Mayor, all the councillors that have been involved with that. It's taken a long time, but it's here at last. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Councillor Bayou.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, it's been another exciting month, albeit quite short, full of sport and arts and culture. I was pleased to attend the opening of the Maritime Art Exhibition at the Vancouver Arts Centre, so that got things off to a great start with the Maritime Festival. The 6th of July was the official opening of the NAIDOC week, the ceremony here at the Albany Town Hall. There were some visiting performers, and it's really great to see the level of support and interest in that. And the performers are just all going from strength to strength, and it's a really delightful thing to see. As was mentioned, the Maritime Festival and the combination with the International Folk and Shanty Festival. I too witnessed some of the tug of war. There were a series of events, not the thing that I get involved with, but Surf Reef, and full credit to everyone who's involved in that. I also came along to the thank you event for the contractors, and it was really nice to hear some of the behind the scenes and the mechanics and the particular challenges, but also the benefits of Albany, and by comparison, how much easier it was than other projects that they've worked on. It'll be a major legacy, huge benefit to our community, huge benefit to the environment, huge benefit to the economy, and there are a lot of eyes of the world on that project. There's a lot of good science and research that went in, and the success of that will be a great legacy for 50, 100 years to come. On a more local note, I had the privilege again of attending the monthly Chamber of Commerce Sundowner, and this one was co-hosted by Telstra and the NBN. So a lot of, again, technical, and it's always helpful to stay up to date with what's going on in 2025. On the 19th, Councillor Trail and I attended the opening event for the Great Southern Region Netball Championships. So, and the region actually includes Esperance through to Narrogin. There were 7 organisations that came down to be part of that. So collectively, yes, a lot of those events bringing visitors to Albany, and regardless of the weather, sunshine or rain, the more visitors, the more events. What's good for locals, what makes it livable for those of us who live here, makes it fantastic to visit, and truly reinforces that Albany is amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Trail.
Yeah, thank you. Mayor, most of what I've been to and I'm going to talk about, everyone else has covered already, so I will go through things quickly. The NAIDOC Week opening, for me, that was a great event, and I really liked the performer Lily Gogos, who came down from Perth. She'd actually performed at the NAIDOC event in Perth the night before. She drove down on Sunday morning, sang a few songs, but the lovely thing for me, apart from her voice, was the sound system in the town hall. It's quite an amazing setup. The money we've spent on that is incredible. So let's go along to the town hall and have a listen to the sound system and the lights as well. So that's a fabulous addition to our facilities that we've got. Like many others, the Surf Reef opening was full of goodwill and good cheer, and I think that's going to be an amazing facility for Albany. It's going to see us out, I'm sure, and going to bring a lot of people to town to go surfing. People of all ages. Maritime Festival is still going. It goes till the end of the month. There's actually an event on tonight, Mr. Mayor, that if you get through this meeting quickly, I'll go along to, and it will be going till the end of the month. I myself are doing a talk on next Tuesday, so come along to the rest of the Maritime Festival. Again, it's a great part of Albany's July. It's not a peak tourist time, but we're still getting plenty of people to town, which is great from that point of view. The art exhibition opening at the Vancouver Arts Centre was a great show. There's a lot of talented artists in Albany, as we know. A lot of whom entered into that competition. It was a competition, and congratulations to the winners. and it was certainly a good show to actually go along to and see some of that talent. Like Councillor Beaujeu, I went to the opening of the Great Southern Netball Championships. Good to see, great to see lots of keen netballers on a cool Saturday morning. It was pretty chilly in the Alac on a Saturday morning, but quickly got warmed up. And that's one of those things that we really need to address in the next few years is the number of people participating in sport. They've just outgrown our facilities. And that was one of the questions as to when can we get some more netball courts? And I said, well, when we get some more basketball courts and every other facility, because we really need those. So that's something that's going to challenge us in the next couple of years. And I'll just finish on a sad note, as Councillor Grimmer said, Kelly Mansell died just as we were enjoying ourselves at the surf reef last Wednesday. It was terribly sad. The event happening, a train crash on a level crossing. Kaylee lived not far from us in Young Siding and had only been there for a couple of years with her young family. Certainly threw herself into the community. Those of you who came out to the Lime Pit information evening at Young Siding might remember Kaylee standing up and talking about the difficulties she had with taking her kids out on the road for walks with trucks going past. And now she's gone, which is so sad. There is a GoFundMe site, which I'll encourage people to go look for. Already it's raised over $90,000 in just a few days to support her family, 3 kids and a husband, who obviously will be missing her greatly. So it's just a very sad time for us at Young Siding. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Councillor Sutton.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, just briefly, number one topic, the surf reef. Had an interesting conversation with one of the older surfers. I won't say old because he's just a touch younger than me, so he's just sort of going through middle age, really. Things we don't see on the return on investment sheet, which Deputy Mayor Terry's big on the numbers and business plans. This doesn't come up at all, and it's been 3 times now in projects we've done. And the last meeting, I might have mentioned the footy where North Albany beat Royals. I did mention that, didn't I? Yeah. And part of that was Councillor McKinley's kids were down there, and they're North Albany people. They were in the canteen. So they were shown that you don't just turn up and play, you're part of the team, you're part of the community. Seen the same thing at the pump track. You see that mentorship. You see the little kids, saw some yesterday, actually. They must have been about this high, little 3-wheelers with no pedals, and his little legs are going like Billy-O, with the older kids actually looking after him. There again, that mentorship, the young with the old. And listened to a story at the surf reef, and that was the same. The young kids had dragged an old lounge suite or lounge suites down off the curbside pickup on the edge of the sandhill. Some of the older surfies went over and said, look, this is not really the right thing to do. We won't put up with this. You need to improve, and this is how we behave to look after our system. And actually, Jodie Cooper, the special guest mayor, actually mentioned it in passing as well. So there's that mentorship again, and building the community. We don't get that in the return on investment and all the figures, but I think it's as valuable as anything we've got out of the surf reef. Someone was looking after us on the Wednesday for the opening, Mayor, because when we all went down to the beach, when they wanted to paddle out, actually the sun came out from behind the clouds and it was brilliant. So it must be fairly close to holy for that to happen, because then once it was done, it closed up again. So, and look, congratulations not only to you, Mayor, but all the guys people that actually have fought for so long. And it just goes to show, doesn't matter where you start, it's where you finish that counts. And to Deb, I think if it's your crew that did all the organisation for the opening, fantastic, absolutely brilliant. Probably, I reckon it's one of the best openings of anything we've ever had. And I'll be keen to better that when the Motorplex is actually Black Track is ready to go. But all the council, the special events, and Anthony McEwen, that was really sad that he couldn't get there. He's put so much time and passion and energy into it. But there's going to be a huge asset for Albany going forward. The only thing I don't like about it, unlike the Motorplex, You don't have to pay to use it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ordinarily, I don't do a report, but given that it's budget night, I am going to make a few comments without preempting the council decision. That I'm really pleased with what is going to be presented to you for a decision tonight. And I think it's a budget that's future focused and is responding to community needs. And it's really quite evident that we'll have the most significant capital works program, assuming we pass the budget, of over $100 million, which includes things like the airport. And our intention is to get that money, the funding agreement signed, and move forward with that so that that runway upgrade is completed around April, May next year. And so we've got to move pretty quickly, and we've got a period where we're going into caretaker mode, but that's really important. I'd just like to say that I think we've responded as a council, we've accepted, we went out to 3 different venues in the rural areas to talk about roads. We've had continually over the time I've been here for 14 years, a position where people have been complaining about the condition of rural roads. We went out with a proposition around raising rates and doubling the commitment from 2 million to 4 million into rural roads as a long-term commitment. And that's presented to you tonight for decision. I think we're very pleased with the way the community responded to our rural road show. So I hope that goes through. Apart from the airport, in the next year we'll do complete the next stage of the motorsport park. We're going to deliver 23 kilometres of mountain bike trails, shared path and dual use paths and walking paths up on the mounts in a really unique environment. We are focusing on our enterprise resource planning system so that we're implementing like a major change in administration, the way we respond to try and improve the customer experience for our shareholders, our residents. And I think, that'll be a 2 to 3 year program, but it's a very big step in terms of the change in the way we conduct our administration and get our systems to talk to one another. To support all of this, we're looking at assuming that there's no adjustments, a 4.95% increase in the GRV and around 9.95 in the UV to take that long-term 4-year commitment through. And essentially, for the average UV person, that's a cup of coffee a week, around $5 a week for the average UV. So I think the community asked us to do that. It's before you for consideration today. I'm very pleased that we've worked very hard in our budget workshops, and I'd like to thank the council, the administration, the community, and particularly the staff in the finance sector who've put together a very future-focused, community-minded budget. Moving on. In response to previous public questions taken on notice, Mrs. Kelly came here, I notice you're here today as well, and asking to speak. There are the responses to those things that we couldn't, and I believe that you've been briefed on those, so that you've seen those responses. So I'll take them as read. So we'll go into public question time. We have 5 people who wish to speak, none of whom want to speak to any of the agenda items. So I think everyone knows the drum. There's a traffic light system here. 4 minutes at 3 minutes 30, that light will go amber. At 4 minutes, will go red, and that will be your time allocation to make your point to council. And obviously, in the agenda, the standard of conduct whilst you're addressing council is very clear. So I'll ask if you give your name and your suburb when you're addressing council. So first is Glenys Kelly.
Mr. Mayor and councillors, thank you for attempting to answer the questions I raised at the last City Council meeting held on July 1st. However, I wish to have it noted on record that the vague platitudes do not answer my questions, especially regarding the budget allocated for tourism advertising. For instance, how much has been allocated for TV advertising, which is the most effective way to reach a mass audience? Margaret River, Busselton and recently Geraldton have all been allocated millions in funding to upgrade and showcase their area as a tourism destination. What exactly is the City of Albany actively doing currently to encourage similar grants and therefore benefits on behalf of the Great Southern and Albany specifically? Incidentally, for those councillors who are congratulating themselves on yet more sporting upgrades, newsflash, not everyone is concerned with whose AFL team won in the recent fixtures. Some residents would actually like to see a much more balanced and less old boys sports biased effort from our council. These facilities certainly encourage our local residents, with the possible exception of the new wave break created off Middleton Beach, are unlikely to generate outside visitors, which is exactly what we so desperately need. I await your specific detailed reply. Thank you.
Mrs. Kelly, we met with Australia Southwest last week in a briefing. They were here, and they're working on a marketing plan, which we will be heavily involved in. But Australia Southwest are obviously the Tourism WA arm of the Southwest, so they will come to us with their plan. So that will be developed over the next 2 to 3 months, we believe, and we haven't seen the finer detail, but when we do, that will be made public. Elmer Watson.
Good evening, Mayor and councillors. I'm Elma Watson. I represent our seniors of this town. You have a building in the main street that is meant to be used for our seniors. They have not been in it since the first flooding. I do a lot of volunteer work there. The staff are working in atrocious conditions because the fact is they're trying to do Meals on Wheels from there. I do a lot of fundraising for them to try and help with the running costs of vehicles, and they don't seem to be getting anywhere. Is there any answer to that, please?
My query to you is, are you referring to Chorus?
Is this referring to Chorus?
Who leased that building from us and they're a separate entity to the city, but so I assume that they would carry their own insurance and they'd be going through that, as are many of our other residents, including myself, from that flood. And 4.5 months on, my house is still not in good repair. So, it's not surprising when you have an event of that size that you can't get everything done in one hit. I appreciate your point, but Chorus is an independent entity.
Right. And one quick question. Who is in charge of our local swimming pool here, the leisure centre?
City of Albany.
Who?
The City of Albany. That's it.
Right, the City of Albany.
Correct.
Can I just draw to your attention, there are a few issues that the councillors of the City of Albany need to be aware of. You have 2 disability toilets down there. We had an old gentleman trapped in there for over 10 minutes 2 weeks ago. All they have done is put a new knob on the door because that broke. There is no emergency buttons. Can you please address that?
I'll refer that to the administration.
Thank you.
Jerry Vandewell.
Good evening, Mr Mayor and councillors. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to address you this evening with an update on the activities of Shalom. By the way, my name is Jerry Vandor and I'm from Warrenup. I wish to commence my address with passing on to you the appreciation of the Shalom Committee and the residents there for the grant of $5,000 we received earlier this year for the installation of a bore and a pump on the Shalom property. This project has involved several homeless men in various activities during the construction period, such as digging the trenches, levelling the dirt, cleaning up the site, but it has now enabled the men to further develop the vegetable garden, knowing they have an adequate and cheap supply of water to maintain growth, also during the hot summer months. This has given the men a greater range of activities which are both enjoyable and healthy, and include tilling and preparing the soil, growing and planting seedlings, fertilising, weeding and spraying the vegetables with insecticides when necessary. Harvesting has slowed down somewhat with the cold months, but several months ago they were harvesting 1 to 2 boxes of vegetables per week, with some of this being used for the meal preparation and the remainder being donated to food bank. Again, many thanks. Further, I really appreciate the support and the advice I also received from your projects officer to put this application together. Shalom Inc. is a not-for-profit Christian organisation that provides support services to homeless, at-risk, disadvantaged and marginalised people. We aim to provide a link between other community service providers and the street, and to enable temporarily homeless men to reconsider their direction in a peaceful haven without the stress of addressing their basic needs of shelter, food and clothing. Shalom House seeks to encourage and empower homeless men to develop skills and understandings to make positive changes in their lives. We provide access to a free drop-in centre every Tuesday and Wednesday from 10 till 2 for homeless and at-risk people, and this includes females and families, and provides free access to laundry, bathroom facilities, free internet, phone access, free morning tea and lunch, free frozen meals depending on availability, emotional and social support and counselling, a listening, empathetic ear, assistance and support with employment advice and resumes, a referral to appropriate local service providers, including advocacy with housing requests. Shalom House has grown and developed over the past few years from what was initially a 7-bed dormitory type accommodation, which was only open during the winter months, to what is now an all-year-round, shelter-based, warm, secure, private, individual 10 bedrooms crisis accommodation, which is mostly filled to capacity. Last week Friday we had 10 men whose ages range from 21 to 84 under our roof. Although I must acknowledge that the 84-year-old was thankfully able to move back in with his wife in their home last Friday. After much counselling, he has agreed to take a different approach to his wife's journey into dementia. Instead of continually challenging her, which was the problem, he now understands that he needs to talk along with her and demonstrate more empathy with the confusing world that she is experiencing. But that same afternoon, we received a referral from Pivot Support Services for another 25-year-old man who was successfully inducted into Shalom House to take over the vacated room. So we're full up again. Most of our clients are referred to us by either the hospital or the police, but the local service providers, including Pivot, Anglicare, as well as agencies in Denmark, Mount Barker and Katanning, make regular use of our services. Now, I would dearly love to see the city providing a level of funding that applied not just to projects, but also to ongoing running expenses of a facility such as Shalom House, to enable the costs of assisting the homeless with crisis accommodation to be shared over a wider community basis. We receive zero support from any government agencies. Having said that, I am nevertheless amazed at the support that Shalom has received from the community, primarily from the Free Reformed Church community, but also from the wider community.
Mr. Vanderwall.
Sorry.
So
I should have
just wrap it up.
timed myself. Thank you. But anyway, my final, please attend. Please come and have a look at what we're doing there. Thank you.
Mr. Vanderwall, can I say thank you on behalf of the council for the work your group's doing. It's fantastic work. We really appreciate it. We can't do that sort of work with community groups and not stepping up. Reg Hoyling.
No.
You good? Righto. Juliana Allen.
Good evening, Mayor and councillors. I just have a question. Am I talking? Yep. Okay. I want to know what the marquee and the catering cost, the rate and taxpayers for the reef opening. Council just spent millions on the surf club, so what is this built for? The reef opening should have been done in the surf club as they go hand in hand with each other, do they not? This is the council making the taxpayers, ratepayers in our electorate look like fools. This is not knocking the reef, it is about not wasting money, which is what was done here. Thank you.
The Surf Club is an independent entity as well, run by a volunteer organisation that we have no control over. If we'd hired the surf reef, it would have cost us $1,000. Our decision to run that marquee with all the politicians involved that put a significant amount of the money forward, we think was a very good use of the money. So it's a matter of opinion, to be honest, as to whether you think that was good value or not. Our decision and the conclusion that we came to was that it was a very good use of money. Is there anyone else in the audience, because we still have time, is there anyone else that wishes to address council? No, thank you. Well, that concludes public question time. You can stay, but you cannot participate in debate hereforth. Applications for leave of absence. Anyone looking to make an application for leave of absence? No, thank you. Petitions and deputations are nil. Confirmation of the minutes. The motion is that the minutes of the ordinary council meeting held on Tuesday, the 1st of July 2025, as previously distributed, be confirmed as a true and accurate record of proceedings. Someone to move that, please. Councillor Trail, Councillor McKinley. Councillor Trail, Councillor McKinley. Anyone wish to speak against? If not, I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 10-0.
Presentations are a nil, and there is no unresolved business from previous meetings. So we'll move on to the reports. CCS 725 Monthly Financial Report, May 2025. The recommendation is that the monthly financial report for the period ending 31st of May 2025 be received. Someone to move. Councillor Sutton. Councillor McKinley. Councillor Sutton. Councillor McKinley. Anyone wish to speak against? No? We'll put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 10-0.
CCS 726 list of accounts for payment, May 2025. The recommendation is that the list of accounts authorised for payment under delegated authority to the Chief Executive Officer for the period ending 31st of May 2025, totalling $15,225,633.56 be received. Someone to move. Councillor Cruz, Deputy Mayor Terry. Councillor Cruz, Deputy Mayor. Anyone wish to speak against? No? We'll put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 10-0.
CCS 727 Delegated Authority Reports, 16th of May 25 to 15th of June 2025, and the recommendation is that the Delegated Authority Reports, 16th of May 2025 to 15th of June 2025, be received. Someone to move that, please. Councillor Bayou, Councillor Chale. Councillor Bayou, Councillor Chale. Anyone speaking against? If not, I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 10-0.
CCS 728 Corporate Scorecard April to June 25 quarter. The recommendation is that the Corporate Scorecard Quarter 4 2024-25 CBP Actions and Corporate Scorecard, Quarter 4, 2024-25, CEO KPIs for the April to June 2025 quarter be noted. Someone to move that. Councillor Grimmer. Councillor Bruff. Councillor Grimmer. Councillor Bruff. Anyone speaking against? No? We'll put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 10-0.
CCS 729, tenders awarded report for April to June 2025. Councillor Sutton, I expect you want to move this. The recommendation is that the tenders awarded for the report April to June 2025 be received. Councillor Sutton. Seconder, please. Councillor McKinley. Councillor Sutton. Yeah, Councillor McKinley. Anyone speaking against? No? We'll put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 10-0.
CCS 730, new lease of St John Ambulance, Western Australia Patient Transfer Station at the Albany Regional Airport. The recommendation is that Council approve a new lease to St John Ambulance Western Australia Limited for a patient transfer station at the Albany Regional Airport, subject to the terms and conditions outlined in section 13 of this report. Someone to move that, please. Councillor Bruff. Councillor Bayou. Councillor Bruff. Councillor Bayou.
Briefly, the opposite recommendation to modify the lease amount makes a lot of sense and is fully supported. So would urge everyone to support this motion.
Anyone want to speak against? No? We'll put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 10-0.
Okay, we talked about this at committee, CCS 731. Before we did ask the staff to go back and make some amendments, and there's an addendum on page 2 of the report. I'll ask if Mr. Vandermest could just brief us on that, please.
Thank you, Mayor. So the policy was presented to the Development Infrastructure Committee. At that meeting, we've received feedback, and also after that. As a result, we've made a number of modifications. It's all covered in the addendum, but just to go through them, the objective section was changed. We added the word to each point for consistency and improved readability. The policy statement was clarified, and for better readability, land use compatibility, the same, clarified. We clarified the language and we improved the readability. So in terms of the siting and design, we also changed the wording there to make it better to read. Same with the siting and design. In terms of the siting and design and the protection of roads and other infrastructure, we've reordered the sections there so that it's for clarification and just to make it better for enforceability. In terms of the wind energy systems, point 17 to 19, we clarified the language for consistency. With regards to community benefit, we changed the wording from should to must so that it shows that it's a requirement and not just an aspiration. That's probably the most important change there. Then in terms of the application requirements and public consultation, we've also changed the wording there to make it, to clarify the language and better readability. And in terms of the definitions, we just made sure that our definition is in line with the Planning Commission's definition. So, and that was pretty much it.
Okay, does anyone want any clarification before we go into debate and put the motion? Thank you. No? All right, so the recommendation is that Council, in pursuance of Schedule 2, Clause 4 of the Planning and Development Local Planning Schemes Regulations 2015, resolves to endorse Draft Local Planning Policy 3.2, Renewable Energy Facilities for the purpose of advertising. So I'm going to move. Councillor Trail, a seconder. Deputy Mayor Tweedy. Councillor Trail.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you, Councillor Bayou, who, along with myself, put some of these changes, and so thanks to the officers for incorporating those, which I think gives us a better and a tighter policy document. And just the reason for a policy document like this, we did discuss this at committee at some length, and I think we all know in our heart of hearts that renewable energy in some shape or form is coming. We can see it around us as we're looking at our wind farm, our tidal energy research. But further up the road towards Perth, you can actually see examples of that. And Mr. Mayor, you actually pointed out at committee that some of those councils are really being shafted by some of these big renewable energy companies who are coming in expecting everything for nothing. Councils are going out of their way to try and facilitate these projects, but are left lamenting. And so from our point of view, having a policy which actually defines what proponents can do and should do, and they have to comply with these big projects, I think it's very important. I think I also said at committee that I've just been over east in New South Wales and Victoria, and this is a live issue in many communities. Communities are getting overrun by wind turbines, by solar farms, and don't really have a say. They're feeling they don't have a say, and their councils don't have a say either. We're putting this in to actually give us that position. And I did actually refer in an email to what Hay has done. Now, Hay's a little town, rural town in the back blocks of New South Wales. It's almost 100% agricultural. And in New South Wales, they have renewable energy zones. We don't have that in WA, as far as I know, at this stage. But Hay was designated as a renewable energy zone. So the community had no choice. The government had said renewable energy is going in. So they didn't like it, basically. There was a lot of opposition to renewable energy out in that area. But the community got together and decided to actually do something instead of just whinging about it. And they got together and and with facilitation, with a company who actually does this as a consultation basis, they put together a set of principles which benefited the community and benefited it big time. And the proponents were quite happy to go along with this. They secured commitments for long-term initiatives should projects go ahead, including plans for education, housing and an assisted living facility for the town's ageing population. They got this out of these proponents. There was also an agreement to establish an electric bus service to Griffith, which is their nearest big town, making it easier for residents to access vital medical services. And on top of that, one of the largest projects proposed promised to inject $30 million into a community benefit fund over 30 years. Now, this is the sort of thing that this policy will hopefully give us that background it's when, probably rather than if, proponents come looking to put in large-scale solar farms or wind facilities in our area. So, well done to the team for putting this together. With Walker help, we're ahead of the pack. And from all those points of view, I think it's a good outcome. We may not have to use it for a while. It's there when we do. Hope you support it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's great to see that we've finally got this coming. It's been a while coming. There, as Councillor Trail alluded to, there have been a number of projects already happened: Flat Rocks, Coconut, Broomhill, Tambalup. There's a number of projects that have been passed at Narrogin with it's like $3 billion worth of projects, wind farm, solar farms around the Narrogin area. There's proposals around Noangarot. There's proposals around Williams and Darkin. The local government sector has been calling on the state government to put together a state planning policy. They haven't done it, so we have to do it. We will have the Sandpatch wind farm will need to be updated in the next 3 to 5 years. So we need to have a policy in place to guide what we would allow up there. Aspects that have been included in this policy are really important. Feedback from the Flat Rocks example is the need to have proper defined setback property from property boundaries. And in our policy, we're going for 1 kilometre. There have been a number of problems with the Coconut Flat Rocks project in terms of the turbines being located close to property boundaries and causing issues for adjoining properties or adjoining property owners. Another important one is the visual assessment. There was talk, I think it was Councillor Leonetti raised something about not being on hills, on ridges. In this policy, we are saying it's not to be on ridge lines and escarpments. So encouraging proponents to have the wind farms located on the lower portions of the pieces of land which they want to put these wind farms and the solar farms. The community benefit is another big thing. Councillor Trail talked about the Hay experience. The state government have put out a draft statement on community benefit, and that's or guidelines. So that is referred to in the draft policy. Another really important one from feedback from neighbouring shires is the need for an aviation assessment. With most of these wind farms being on agricultural land, adjoining landowners, if they're wanting to have crop farming and having planes putting on fertiliser. Thank you, Councillor Sutton. It's really important that they're not hindered at being able to do that. Another really important part is consultation with the community and stakeholders, including us, and encouraging proponents to do that before they put the proposal to us for assessment. And another really important thing for us is damage to our roads in the construction and also during the period of the use of the land, that any damage to roads is repaired at the proponent's expense. So great to have this up. Looking forward to seeing what is any feedback from the community, and urge all to support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a speaker against Councillor Sutton?
Thank you, Mayor. Look, I'm speaking against the motion not because I disagree with the work done by councillors and staff, the planning staff. It's because I don't believe these things. I've actually spent probably 6 or 8 weeks in Hay, actually working many years ago when I was in Danny. And you're right, there's not much out there. It's a dust bowl. 30 million benefit for the community over 30 years, where the average lifespan of a wind turbine is 18 years. So, and I think most of the research I've done is that government actually funds a lot of this. In fact, I watched a program in the Wimmera in Victoria on the weekend, and there were 90 massive turbines. 3 or 4 were actually going, and the farmer who was reporting on it said that they only get turned on when the price goes up, when the supply price goes up. So, look, I don't think this is a fantastic opportunity at all. We did hear, I think, from the mayor that one of the places up towards the wheat belt had run out of gravel because of all the construction. And I think on our policy it says when they decommission it, it'll be concrete will be just sand over with a sign on it to say it's concrete underneath. We can't eat electricity. We can eat wheat. We can eat beef. We can eat sheep. And look, it's just a personal gripe. I don't think these are a short-term gain where we're all going to be paying and the multinationals will be taking all the money. So, thank you.
That opens up debate. Anyone want to speak for? Councillor McLaren, I thought you might weigh in.
I just wanted to say thank you to the officers for drafting this and to the councillors who have spent a lot of time tweaking it. I put it out for consultation to people that I know in the renewable energy sector, and it's a good step forward. I think it's great that we are putting it out for community comment because we'll attract a lot more interest as well. People commenting on how it impacts them. I think one of the things I love about Albany is we're one of the first places to put up a wind farm. And it is gold standard wind out there at Sandpatch and Grassmere. So it's an opportunity that we need to capture. And I think we need to go forward in producing a policy that gives guidance to all the people that are going to build wind farms. And there's no use trying to pretend it's not happening. This is actually a great place for it to happen. And I don't know, the guys, I'll have a chat with Councillor Sutton later about this, but the guys that I talked to said, you know, you could easily put soil on top of those pads, those cement pads, and you could run sheep on them or cattle or whatever you want to run on them, because, but it wasn't wise to try and dig them up because they're quite thick pads. And in the new wind farms, which will be massive, which will be much bigger, and we'll probably need less of them, but they'll be much bigger. They won't be able to be put on the existing pads. So I learned a lot from, you know, this exercise of putting out our draft policy. So I urge councillors to support it, take the next step so that we can provide guidance to all the people that are interested in capturing power from the wind.
Anyone want to make a comment for or against? Councillor Bruff?
Thanks, Mayor. Look, my reasons for voting against this are broadly aligned with what Councillor Sutton outlined in the reasoning, and I think his observations, I would broadly make the same as well. I just think, as an extra comment, I recall Councillor McLaren making an observation one time that when we're talking about the hotel down at the wool stores, and said she'd prefer it if there was no development on the waterfront. That seems to not apply for the wind farms.
Does anyone want to make a comment for or against? Okay, that closes debate. I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? Right of reply.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just got in there. Look, I think, yeah, good debate, an interesting debate, but I think Councillor Sutton has perhaps put the cart before the horse here. We're putting this out for advertising. It's a policy that we'll have in place. So if we don't do this, we'll, if a developer comes along, we won't have anything in place. So let's see what we get. It's a bit like insurance. It's something that you mostly have, but you hope you possibly never have to use it. So from all those points of view, I think getting it out to the public, let's see what comes back, and we'll see what the reaction is from the public. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against?
Carried 7-3. Against Councillor Sutton, Councillor Bruff and Councillor McKinley.
Okay, we'll move on to CCS 732, and we'll deal with each of the various recommendations individually. I'm not going to read them all, but I will certainly read the first one. So recommendation 1 is that the council adopt the following municipal rates in the dollar on gross rental valuations and unimproved valuations and minimum rate values for the 2025-2026 financial year. 1, rating category 1, GRV General. The general rate on gross rental values for the 2025-2026 financial year on rating category 1 include all GRV rateable land to be 9.1395 cents in the dollar. 2, rating category 3, UV. The general rate on current unimproved values for the 2025-26 financial year on rating category 3, including all UV rateable land to be 0.2801 cents in the dollar. And 3, the minimum rate for rating category 1, GRV general rateable properties within the City of Albany will be $1,283. And the minimum rate for rating category 3 UV rateable properties within the City of Albany will be $1,324. Someone to move that. Deputy Mayor Terry. Seconder, Councillor Sutton. Deputy Mayor Terry.
Thank you, Mayor. As the Mayor already talked about during the reports to members, this is a very significant budget, and it's very significant for a number of things, and most of that is the size of it, size of the capital budget, over $100 million. $42 million of that is for the airport. I think it's $14 million for the Mueller Street, McAlpine Rise subdivision, which is a pot of money that we've been able to get from the federal government to develop 86 blocks out in the Lockyer area to help hopefully address the affordable housing issues that have come through loud and clear through our community market scorecard survey that we did earlier in the year. Also, another significant one was the Hanrahan Road transfer station. One of my pet projects, which is finally happening this financial year, is the Mounts Trails up on Mount Clarence and Mount Adelaide for a series of mountain bike and shared path and walking trail up on the mounts, and also the structure planning for North McHale. The other thing that the Mayor talked about, and the extra increase that we've put in for this year, an extra 1% for the GRV rated properties and an extra 6% basically for the UV properties, is to enable us to build up a kitty so that we can put more money back into our rural roads. We had, as the Mayor said earlier, we have had very strong feedback over the last 18 months about the state of some of our gravel roads, and we have made very strong advocacy to the administration to do some work to present to us an alternative to increase that expenditure on rural roads to enable us to do more sealing of gravel roads and also gravel resheets. And in this budget, the bigger projects, that's not all of the projects, we're sealing Siding Road in Redmond and Chillinup Road in Chillinup, and that one in Chillinup Road, I think it's about $1.4 million investment out of the budget. For gravel resheets, there's Bennett Road in Napier, Bluff Creek Road in Green Range, Hunwick Road in Torbay, and Old Boundary Road in Noel. And as I said, that's not all of them. That's just the bigger projects. And if we didn't allocate this extra $2 million, we wouldn't be doing half of those. And it's good that we've been able to put that across the city of Albany electric, both west and east, so both sides of the rural areas are getting their fair share of money put into those rural roads. Another big part of the budget is also the pathways. Another big thing for me is the link from Mount Melville from the top of Grey Street down to the ring road. Once that's done, you will be able to ride your bike, if you want to, from Lower King Store all the way through to Little Grove Store on a shared path, on-road cycle lane, or dedicated cycle lane or cycle path. Also, we are going to do the final link on Henry Street between Adelaide Street and Chester Pass Road. So this time next year, you'll be able to ride all the way from Albany Highway on Havoc Road, all the way through to Chester Pass Road, and that's also a link down from Chester Pass Road, from Henry Street down to basically the Catalina shopping area. So you'll be able to ride a bike or do on your scooter, do on a gopher all the way. So that's some highlights in the budget. And the other thing is delivering the 2026 bicentenary program. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Sutton.
Well said, Deputy Mayor Terry. It's pretty plain to see, Mayor, that we've got a massive, well, the biggest budget we've ever had on capital work, so it has to be paid for. But they're all significant projects, and I think they'll be game-changing projects when we get them done. You know, we'd refer to the airport, the affordable housing pots, the trails up there. I get spoken to most days about trails. When's it going to happen? But I'd just like to touch on the unimproved value, that side of it. We did 3 road shows, if you like, and really well organised by the city staff and well attended, I think, by most of the councillors. Not everyone could get to every one of them, but predominantly we all represented somewhere there. I've been on council, this is my 16th year. Now, probably for about 14 and a half, 15 of those, I've had a foot in either camp. So I think I can speak with a bit of experience. I've had a business in town, so I travelled for a while there, 5 days a week into town on the bitumen roads, but I lived rural. And I've lived on gravel roads for basically the last 15 years. It's only a small rise, small in comparison to with a better road, less damage to your cars. The mechanic used to tell me all the time, you know, the bearing's wearing out, the wheel alignment's out. One stage I've lost oil cooler off the car. So a couple of $100 a year is cheap in comparison to the wear and tear on the vehicles. And probably on the car wash will save me a lot of money if they get better roads. So look, I urge all councillors to support this. We've done the homework. Look, in my nearly 16 years of council, there's been one significant change with rural roads, and that's when the Alison Good, the late Alison Good, as a councillor, moved a motion to put a drainage team in conjunction with the rural road repairs and maintenance, and I seconded that motion. That's been the only difference or the only change in my 16 years. So this is going to make a massive difference, not maybe year 1 and 2, but certainly 3, 4 and 5, when we're not spending money on the roads that we've actually either resheeted or sealed. So it gives us more time and energy to work on the bad roads. So eventually we're going to get on top of it. So it's a no-brainer. And if we go down this path, this will be fantastic for everyone. You know, we've got a lot of commodity uses on this area, which is a huge part of our GDP for the town, so agriculture. So, councillors, I urge you to cover this one. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? No? All right, we'll put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 10-0.
Thank you. I am going to read part of recommendation 2 because it is waste and it is very important. So, recommendation 2 is that council approves the following waste collection charges for the City of Albany, including general waste collection, 1 bulk green waste collection, collection of recyclables and food organics and garden organics collection, be adopted for the 2025-26 financial year. And it includes residential services, which is essentially $469 a year, and then fortnightly collection. Additional services, general waste collection of 140 litre bin would be $150 a year, recycling 240 litre would be $84, and FOGO waste at 240 litres would be $84, all of those services fortnightly. And waste facilities maintenance rate, Waste Avoidance and Resource Recovery Act 2007. In addition to the full domestic refuse service, the City will be raising an annual rate under 66(1) of the Waste Avoidance and Resource Recovery Act 2007 of the WARR Act. And in accordance with section 66(3) of the WARR Act, apply the minimum payment provisions of section 6.35 of the Local Government Act 1995. The rate is called the Waste Facilities Maintenance Rate. The minimum payment will be $60, and the proposed rates are for GRV General Properties rate in $1, 0.01 cents to the minimum of $60, and UV General Properties rate in $1 is 0.0022 cents to a minimum of $60. Can I have someone move that, please? Councillor Trail. Deputy Mayor Terry. Councillor Trail.
Thank you, Mayor. This is one of the most important parts of our services that we actually provide to our residents and in our community. And look, it's one of the least glamorous, and I can't pretend to know an awful lot about waste in terms of the processing, all of those components of this facility that we offer. but I'm constantly amazed at our staff who work in this area who are passionate about waste and recycling. And we're so lucky to have them. We've set the bar pretty high with our FOGO and our general waste collection and all the rest of it. We made a big decision earlier this year to change our contractor, and this actually just puts that into place that that service will continue. So, and of course, it has to be noted that in the next few years we'll be looking at a new waste facility to replace Hanrahan Road. So it's a given as far as I'm concerned. We're going to have it, and from my point of view, everyone involved with this area does a great job. So let's support this one. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Terry. Anyone speaking against? I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 10-0.
Recommendation 3 is that the Council adopts pursuant to the provisions of Section 6.2 of the Local Government Act 1995 and Part 3 of the Local Government Financial Management Regulations 1996, the municipal and trust fund budgets as contained in the attachment to this agenda for the City of Albany for the 2025-26 financial year, which includes the following. A statement of comprehensive income by nature and type on page 5, showing a net result for the year of $52,264,715. The statement of comprehensive income by program on page 6, showing a net result for the year of $52,264,715. Statement of cash flow showing cash and cash equivalents at the year end of $17,806,778 on page 7. Rate setting statement on page 8 showing an amount required to be raised from rates of $49,401,889. Notes to and forming part of the budget on pages 1 to 52, fees and charges and capital work schedule as detailed on pages 53 to 93, and transfers to and from reserve accounts as detailed in page 44 to 49. And obviously we have a list of the various reserves underneath, which I don't need to read. Can I have someone move that, please? Councillor Grimmer, Councillor McKinley, Councillor Grimmer.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Look, it's a massive budget, and if we had to go through all the items, it would probably take all night. Obviously, I'm a very passionate supporter of the rural communities, and I really do thank the administration and councillors for going out and meeting with the community, actually really listening to them and understanding that they were happy to put a little bit more into the system to get the roads done. I'm absolutely delighted that in this budget there are 21 rural road projects equaling $5.68 million, and as Councillor Deputy Mayor Terry mentioned, there's projects that weren't on that list. So the more that you bring projects forward, the better the standard road's going to be overall. So from a rural perspective, I'm absolutely delighted. Again, being part of the regional road group and also being part of the waste working group here, I think we've put together a really good budget, a really forward-thinking budget that's going to serve the community well into the future. It is amazing to think that we didn't even have a budget that was anywhere near $100 million a few years ago, and yet we've got that in capital works this year. It's quite amazing. It shows that the staff are going to be very busy, but it is a really a fantastic thing that we've actually put together a budget, I think, for everybody here, and I'm very happy to support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Terry? Councillor McKinley, rather. Sure. Sorry. Okay. Anyone wish to speak against? No? We'll put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 10-0.
Recommendation 4 is that the Council approves the due dates for payment of rates and waste collection charges for 2025-2026 to be as follows. Pay your rates in full on the 19th of September 2025, pay by 2 instalments. First instalment 19th of September 2025 and second instalment 20th of January 2026, pay by 4 instalments on the 19th of September, the second payment on the 20th of November, the third instalment on the 26th of January 2026 and the fourth instalment the 20th of March 2026. Someone to move that? Councillor Sutton, seconder. Councillor Cruz, Councillor Sutton.
Thank you. Mayor, just briefly on this one. Look, this is consistent with what we've done in previous years for many years. Not everyone can pay their rates in one hit. We acknowledge that. Gives them the opportunity. And look, I'd like to just make comment on the staff. It might seem from the public that there's a lot of work here that we just sort of tick off, but we had 3 or 4 budget meetings and fantastic information coming from the staff. We ask for something to go back and work it and come back. So it's not just a quick meeting and let's get it done. It's fantastic, and I fully agree with this. It gives people the lesser financial well-being can actually pay it off over a period of time. It's fantastic. Urge all councillors to support it. Thank you.
Councillor Cruz.
No, thank you, Mayor.
Anyone speaking against? Put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 10-0.
I'll summarise recommendation 5 around administration fees and interest charges and waivers. So the council, the recommendation is that the council imposes the following rates and charges to provide for administration and interest charges on rating, waste collection and general debtor collection charges during the 2025-26 financial year. So there's a $6.50 administration fee in an instalment plan administration fee. It's a late payment interest charge of 7%, calculated daily at 0.01918% on a simple interest basis. 3 is an instalment plan interest charge of 0.0151% on a simple interest basis, or 5.5% per annum. A late payment interest charge of 7%. And waivers where small balances on properties remain on a property assessment due to circumstances such as a delay in the receipt of mail payments. So I'll take that as read and ask for someone to move that. Someone to move, please. Councillor Grimmer, Councillor Bruff, Councillor Grimmer, Councillor Bruff. Anyone speaking against? No? We'll put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 10-0.
Recommendation 6, that the council approves the schedule of fees and charges which forms part of the 25-26 budget be adopted effective from the 23rd of July 2025. Someone to move that, please. Councillor Trail, Councillor Sutton, Councillor Trail, Councillor Sutton. Anyone speaking against? That's an improvement on last year, so we've obviously got our community consultation right this year. It's great. I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 10-0.
Recommendation 7 is that the council approves the payment of superannuation contributions to elected members under section 5.99B2 of the Local Government Act 1995 to commence from the 1st of July 2025. Someone to move that? Councillor Bruff. Deputy Mayor Terry. Councillor Bruff.
Thanks, Mayor. I just want to spare a thought for the old man, Dennis Wellington, who served for a very long time without any super. I've heard him grumble about it, perhaps not unfairly, and he's in my thoughts tonight. Thank you, Dennis.
He's probably watching online. And there's Deputy Mayor Terry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, this is something that's come from state government as part of the reform packages. It's going to be coming mandatory from after the election, but we do have the option to actually have it come in February this year, but we have decided to bring it in from 1 July. And so all the new councillors that come in from in October that get elected, you will be lucky to have your 12% superannuation guarantee paid to you from the outset, like the rest of us. And as Councillor Bruff mentioned, Mayor Wellington didn't have that benefit over the last 12 years that he was the mayor. But, I'm sure he's doing okay. Yeah, so it's good that we are getting that recognition. We do a lot of work for the community. Whilst we are not employees per se, we are elected members. There should be that benefit that comes to elected members, just like any other employee of the city and any other business that works here in Australia. Thank you.
Does anyone want to speak against? No, I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 10-0.
Recommendation 8 is that the council sets the elected member sitting fees and allowances prescribed by the Local Government Administration Regulations 1996 per annum for the 2025-26 being councillor meeting attendance fee, 35,480. 2, mayoral meeting attendance fee, 53,215. Councillor and mayoral superannuation payments, 58,175. Councillor and mayoral ICT allowance, 3,500. Total mayor allowance is 100,514. And the deputy mayoral allowance, 25,128, being 25% of the mayoral allowance. Someone to move that, please. Councillor Child, Councillor Grimmer, Councillor Child.
Thank you, Mayor. I think in the last 3 years that this has come up, there's been somebody always stand up to speak against this, but I'm in favour of this going through for a number of reasons. Number one, we do a lot of work, and just remember that in a few months' time there'll be 2 less of us as well. So our workload will be increased. So I think it's a fair allowance, as Deputy Mayor Terry said. It's not a salary as such. So from that point of view, I think we're worth that with the amount of work that we do for our community, which is growing all the time. So look, I'm very happy to support this recommendation, if only for the grounds that my rates are going up and I'll need more money.
Councillor Grimmer.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Very quickly, look, I'm a doubtful starter to go again, but I do fully understand the workload that's involved to do this job properly, and I think that anybody that puts their heart and soul into this job deserves to get some remuneration. You're not going to get remunerated for all the time that you spend on it, but I think it's only fair that these fees are done, and I absolutely acknowledge the extra work that the Mayor and Deputy Mayor do as well. The amount of time that you put in on behalf of the community, I do think that this is a fair remuneration, so I'm really happy to support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone want to speak against? Councillor Bruff.
Thanks for the nod, Councillor Trail. The City of Albany is a Band 1 local government. The sitting fee bracket for Band 1 councillors is between $27,560 and $35,480. The recommendation before us is to adopt the top end of that range. Now, I respect the work each of us does in the service to the community. We all know the time and effort that's involved. So this isn't a question of whether the work is valuable or demanding, because it clearly is. The question is whether we have a sound, repeatable process to justify placing ourselves at the top of the pay bracket. We are dealing with public money, and that brings with it a responsibility to show not just that something is permitted, but that it is justifiable. At present, we don't have a structured process. No benchmarking, no reference to comparable workload, no linkage to performance or financial context. If we expect rigour from the rest of the organisation in how funds are allocated, we should apply the same standard to ourselves. This isn't about undervaluing the role or creating layers of red tape. It's just about having a simple, transparent mechanism that supports trust in our decisions. I support fair remuneration, but I believe it should be earned through a process that reflects the same accountability that Council demands of others in the organisation. Since joining Council, I've consistently opposed automatically adopting the top of the bracket in the absence of a mechanism. Without that mechanism, I won't be supporting this proposal tonight.
Thank you. Someone want to speak for or against? Right of reply, Councillor Trail.
Thanks, Councillor Bruff. You didn't let us down, so that's it's good to have the debate. I think the important thing here is yes, we are top of Band 1, but from my point of view, I feel as though I've earned this allowance. How others feel is up to them, I guess. So from that point of view, I'd be voting for it and supporting it. I think it's important for us all to actually realise and be reminded that we are at that top level. And we like to think of Albany as a top level council. And from that point of view, I think we deserve that ranking. We are on top in many rankings compared to other regional councils. We're the envy of many in terms of our abilities to actually get on with things. So from that point of view, I think this actually reflects our standing in the community. And we are constantly complimented by visitors, by other local authorities, by elected members and members of parliament who actually see what we're doing. We're doing it well. And one of the reasons for doing it well is that we're actually given that allowance to do that. It doesn't, as Councillor Grimmer I think has said, it doesn't actually go all the way. If you're doing your job and communicating with your community, if you did it on an hourly rate, it probably doesn't compensate that, but we don't do it for hourly rates. We do have KPIs. It's called an election every 4 years. So from that point of view, that's it. If we're not doing our job, then people won't support us each 4 years. So from that point of view, I think it's worth supporting. It's not an automatic as far as I'm concerned. It's good to have this debate every year and not just ram it through. We're not feathering our own nests. We can afford it. We've got responsible financial management, and from that point of view, I think it's a fair and reasonable allowance for us to take. In that case, let's support it. Thank you.
That closes debate. I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? Against?
Carried 9-1 against Councillor Brough.
Recommendation 9 is that the council approves a variance between actual and budget to date of greater than 100,000 is considered to be a material variance for reporting purposes in the statement of financial activity for 25-26. Someone to move that, please. Councillor Sutton, Councillor Baiju, Councillor Sutton.
No, thank you, Mayor.
Councillor Baiju.
It's consistent with what's happened previously, and it reflects an appropriate threshold for reporting back on variances. So, yeah, I would support it.
Anyone wish to speak against? No? We'll put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 10-0.
Mr. CEO wants to make a comment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick comment. I just wanted to reinforce the comments you made earlier at tonight's meeting. I think just a big thank you to everyone involved, for the leadership of the Mayor, the Council. We put significant effort into engaging with the community on this budget. It does mark a significant milestone in the history of the City of Albany, being our largest budget delivery. I think we've done very well to source external funding to support the growth of this beautiful city in which we live for the benefit of our residents and our community. And I think we just need to acknowledge that there is a significant amount of work to do. I'd like to say thank you to you, Mr. Mayor, thank you to the Council, and importantly, thank you to Matthew, you and your team for leading us through the process. And I think more importantly, thank you for the community for having confidence in our strategy around the rural roadshow that we took out to them, and they backed us in on that. So I think it's a significant night tonight. So thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. DIS 445, Planning and Building Reports 2025. The recommendation is that the planning and building reports for June 2025 be received. Someone to move that, please. Councillor McLaren, Deputy Mayor Terry. Councillor McLaren.
No, thank you, Mayor.
Just briefly, just really great to see the amount of work that's coming through. Just a show of confidence in the community, and Albany is forging ahead. Another $13 million worth of planning and building approvals during the month, which takes us up to, well, I can't remember, for the whole year is, it doesn't matter, it's a lot.
Anyone wish to speak against? No? We'll put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 10-0.
LEMC 3037 is that the recommendation is that the confirmed minutes of the Local Emergency Management Committee meeting held on the 19th of September 2024 be received. Someone to move that. Councillor Brough. Councillor Trail. Councillor Brough. Councillor Trail. Anyone speaking against? No? We'll put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Carried 10-0.
There is no new business of an urgent nature introduced by decision of council. There are no motions of which previous notice has been given, nor any reports of city officers. So the meeting is closed to the public at